Okay, so thank you everyone for joining our sessions, and we're very lucky to have you all of these like inspiring women in our session. And so basically, like we will do our like a little bit of introduction about ourselves first, then we'll do some discussion, and depending on the time, last 5 or 10 minutes, we'll keep the floor open to the audience. Like if there's any question comes up, then we can also like go through that as well.
What I want to talk today about is algorithmic.
Sorry, that was really weird. Okay. All right. So let's get it started. So for this session, I'll be the host. My name is Procheta. I'm a GDC organizer and also an organizer of this conference. And I'm a UX designer based in Vancouver. Now, I'd like to ask like all of our speakers to introduce yourself. Like let's start with Bobby. Like, do you want to just give a little bit of introduction of yourself?
Yes, sure, happy to do that. Hi, everyone. My name is Bobbi Bidochka. I'm a venture associate for Tandem Launch in Montreal, Canada, Canada's premier incubator. We are a deep tech startup foundry, and I'm also the podcast host for the Tandem Launch sponsored podcast called The Launch. I designed and run the Young Women's Tech Leadership Program at Tandem Launch as well. And I also design and run the Social Entrepreneurship Program at Tandem Launch. I'm a book author and writer, and also I'm the founder and CEO of Imagine Ideation. And I'm super jazzed to be here to talk to everybody.
That's awesome. Like, Susan, do you want to talk about yourself?
Sure. Hi, I am Sue Taylor. I am the Program Manager of Research, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship at St. Clair College, and we are located in Windsor, Ontario, in Canada. So happy to be here today. I run the STEM Student Club at our school right at the college, and host a STEM speaker series, so featuring women leaders in STEM, of which I think a few I might be stealing later to be on my podcast after this event. And so just passionate about helping others succeed and playing that piece in as far as mentorship and advancing people in tech. So thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Kylie.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kylie. I'm a fifth-year computer science student at the University of Calgary. I was born in Toronto and spent a large vicinity of my life in Calgary. And during my time in school, I've been able to participate in some very rewarding experiences, both in summer jobs and in volunteer work. I was a co-organizer of the GDG group in Calgary, the Women Techmaker Ambassador, and founded the Google Student Developer Club at the University of Calgary. Thank you.
That's awesome. Muskan, do you want to talk about yourself as well?
Oh, for sure. I'll do a brief. My name is Muskan Sandhu, and I am a solution architect. Basically, I take care of all the in my company. I started my career in engineering almost a few years back when I decided, yes, this is what I wanted to do. That it is my passion in which fields I am. I would say definitely there are tons of fields where you can enter into the engineering, but I have choose into which I had too much passion, and I do a whole do. I'm also CEO of Gracious Digital also, in which we teach people and the newcomers how to go into the tech industry and what skills they actually needed, and I teach them too. The only reason is this because I'm so passionate about the technology and what I do. I feel proud in myself. So that's it.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome. Like, so I see like you all are so much engaged with tech world and like encouraging people to get into tech. But although I see like you have your very specific individual own career tracks, so I'm just like curious to know, like, and also for the audience, like, do you mind to just like talk about like what made you choose your own career path? Like, what was the motivation behind this? Let's just start with like Bobby. So do you wanna start this?
Sure. So I would say it more chose me than me choosing it. I had a very windy road. I was very exploratory throughout my career choices, just trying this and that until it sort of landed on the thing that, felt good. And I mean, in these days, if you're not involved in tech, you're kind of behind behind the ball a little bit. So it definitely, after working in pretty much every role in every industry, I've found myself in tech and in a tech startup environment where it feels like, finally I'm somewhere that's moving ideas forward at a pace that I work at. And so I like the pace, I like the activity, and I like solving real world problems together with everybody there.
That's great. Kylie, do you wanna hop in to share your?
Sure. Though I'm not in a career yet, the career that I will choose will have to have a number of important parameters. I would be looking for something that aims to solve data protection issues, as this will continue to be a problem or a topic of interest for a long amount of time. I'm also very passionate about working in corporate cultures that have a high degree of inclusivity in their day-to-day operations. And lastly, because of topics that I've learned in school and just they've really piqued my interests, I would like to work in a field that allows me to explore either security or cloud related topics. So my ideal career would have some exploration in those areas. Thank you.
Awesome. I guess like there are lots of like people in our like event, like those who wants to learn, those who are at the very beginning of their career. Like this might be a great inspiration for them, like how they can also choose their own career path from the very early phase. So now I'll just move to Susan. Like, what about you?
So for me, I actually spent most of my adult career at this point in healthcare and entrepreneurship. So running a business and also have a consulting company as well. And so that sort of had been where I was. And at some point in time, you do have to kind of make that decision to make a life change and a career change. And I ended up at the college and really doing something that I am passionate about. And and it still was very much about entrepreneurship. And so I have, Windsor is a very small town. They'll say it's the biggest small town, so everybody knows everybody. So I was fortunate enough to have a great and strong network. And when I did start at the college, I was first under our school of business, and they moved it under our R&D department so that the whole school, all the students could access the features of what my center that I run offers. So that for me has been great because, again, that has really thrown me into sort of that tech space. So we're doing all these projects, working with students, and and helping develop their skills in those areas. We do have a lot of our programs in the college are tech based, so it does it does certainly add to that. So I'm very happy to be what I'm doing. I'm loving it, and again, learning more each day. So I grew up with, or my son, I should say, is works in industry and is a full stack developer. So I've always been I was never the hockey mom. I was always the hacky mom, taking my kid to hackathons. So, it's always been around. So it's nice to be actually working in it now. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, I guess like that's a great one. Like the hacky mom, like you learned something new today. Yeah. So like, what's your story, Muskan?
Yeah, sure, definitely. To be very honest, I really like Suzanne's hacking mom. This is so perfect for sure. I would say I'm a person who has actually a curious mind always, who wants to do something different all the time. And I'm a person who would say after a job, after work hours, you would find me sitting on my laptop doing something, looking for something new, trying to learn a new something. And when I was pretty young, it took me definitely took time to figure it out what I exactly want in my life. One thing I was 100% sure that I want to go somewhere in designing, but when I was exploring the options, what I can do, I was definitely so scared about going into engineering because I was thinking engineering is all about the wires and LANs, and I never wanted to go in networking because it was so hard for me to grab it. I mean, this is what just I thought. But when I started exploring the options on my passion, what I actually like to do, I have explored. I can do turn the not static design into a live design, and which is great, and that's a great and in so demand IT career. And to be an engineer, I just feel like it's a kind of a sense of prestige you get it, the kind of respect you get it for your career because in my opinion, engineers are so helpful and they sustain our nations internationally super great and maintain our standard of living so that we really don't have to stand in a line. For example, we are dependent on technology everywhere. We don't have to stand in a line to buy a movie ticket or to pay our bills anymore. It's all technology and it's super changed our world. And we're surrounded by technology everywhere and I really appreciate it. So I would say that's the one of the reason I wanted to be an engineer because I wanted to make a difference and I'm still working towards it. Yes, I am an engineer. I had so many obstacles, but here I am and I feel so blessed where I am because I merged the technology and I merged my passion into my career. It's a great sense of achievability for sure, 100%. And as Susan said, yes, tech mom, I am 100% sure when I would have kids, instead of sending them anywhere else, you would see me teaching them all about the coding because this is what my passion is and I'm enjoying it because it's all about learning new things every single day, challenging. And I have seen also that it changed your mind also. You start thinking logically more into your normal life also, which is a great thing of achievement.
Wow, that's a great story. So, yeah, I know like you all are in very like a stable position right now where you are in, but we know like everything doesn't come so easy. Like you already mentioned, Muskan, like about the obstacles. So now I want to dive more into that. Like, what are the obstacles like that you faced like during your career, and what did you take to overcome that action, that obstacles? Like if you like, I'd really love like if you can mention like any of those like a strategy or action like you took to overcome this stuff, that the audience can also learn from that. Muskan, do you want to share yourself? Like you just already talk about the obstacles, so let's just start with you.
Yeah, definitely. I can talk about the obstacles. When I started my career, so honestly speaking, I'm coming from a non-technical background. I have started with the technology, but I found it so hard. And then I thought, oh, maybe this is just for boys because this is what our society is. They put into your mind that this is exactly for boys. Engineers are not for girls. Girls are to be treated as a princess only. They can do the technical work. So it was definitely, I would say, a society which definitely brings a biggest hurdle into your career. Even though if you want to be somewhere, I definitely face so many challenges from the society, especially coming from a non-technical background. And then what I was used to do that after my uh, job, I do hold 3 master's degree now into computer science because it was all my passion. How I spent time on that instead of going to the parties after work. I was used to go to my room and study. I studied really hard, and I have seen that it changed my life completely. People who were used to say, "Oh, I can't do that," I'm on a better position than them and doing, not the word, really good. So other challenges what I would say belong to this industry was that IT is very fast. sometimes you don't know what you have to do, where exactly to start. But I have noticed this: if you put your foot into the door, once you do that, your vision will become more clear, and all roads will start becoming more clearer. So it's just all the matter of time. You just have to take a courage to put your step into the right direction. And with me, the right direction was that not to listen anyone, listen to my heart, turn my passion of technology and the designing into a reality. And I just did hard work on me. I had a motivation inside me. I would say there's always a champion inside all of us. It's just a matter of time that we need to recognize it. So, yes, I had so many challenges, but I overcame that, and here I am, and I'm still growing, learning, and it keeps me happy. So, I would say never ever listen to someone. Oh, I would say listen to people, but do what your heart says, because anyhow, at the end of the day, it's all about you.
That's awesome. Like that's some yeah, that's really great advice. So now I want to like listen from the hacky mom. Like, how did you hack those obstacles? Like, yeah, what did you hack?
I think for me, again, the obstacle for me was not being in a space where I was really into tech. So if I needed something, I would ask my son to, if it was something that I needed, whatever, as a computer, because I'm older than most of the other panelists here. So I would ask him, but his response was, Mom, if you go to this cool thing, it's called Google, you can just ask it and it will tell you what to do. So learning that, and then going, learning, okay, I need to learn things on my own. And really it was just investing time in watching, watching videos or taking courses or going in and using LinkedIn Learning and picking up the pieces where I felt that I was, I was lacking. And then it just made me get to a point where I'm more comfortable, and I'm still doing it. So you're always learning. You never, the goal is that you never stop learning. So you keep doing it, keep adding it. And we see technology all the time. It changes every hour. Like there's always something new. So, even, and I said this to my son, he started as very much sort of kind of that prodigy kid, and was, working full time at 18 years old with a company. And I said, yes, but you're that way now, but you have to stay advanced of all the other people that are coming up behind you. And so, and again, it's keeping that and keeping the learning and staying on top of things. I think that, for me, that's how I overcame that challenge, and I'm still doing it. So, I just encourage everybody to, again, not do that. And I love, Muskan said, speaking to the board, do something you love. So don't do things for the money. You need to do them because you enjoy doing it. If money comes and it's a bonus, great. But if you're miserable, a lot of money, that's not the way. It's not the place to be. So, I guess that is finding something that you do that can pay your bills and kind of have that lifestyle that you want to have. So.
That's great. Yeah, so from both of you, like every learned, so it's just all about like learning. You need to learn like continuously. It's just like kind of like a never stop learning process. So, and for that, I wanna like go to like Kylie. So you are still in that like school in the learning phase. So like, what about you? Like, what did you think? Like that the obstacles or the challenges that you are already facing, like to make your career in tech, or like if you have any kind of assumption like that this kind of challenges you might have to face if you want to make your career in tech, like if you can share that with us.
I really agree with what was said by both Muskin and Susan. Like learning is a big part of this industry, especially because the tech industry changes so much. Something for me, I think that's an obstacle is that I'm just new to the industry. So meeting people is one of the most important factors that I have to consider for where I am. And I really try to make sure that I'm reaching out to people and networking and saying hello and introducing myself, and that kind of introduction relationship and building that kind of helps me overcome that obstacle of not really having a broad network, not really knowing a lot of people. So it that's probably my biggest obstacle with where I am and trying to get more information on how the industry is changing right now, because I'm not fully in the industry, so I don't know really what tech's going on right now.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I have more questions for you about your issues. I'll get back to you later, but I want to hear about like Bobby's story. Like, how did you face all of those challenges? Like, and what was those challenges? Like, if you can like mention.
Yes, sure. So, I mean, I can speak for myself, but I think a lot of the things that I face are similar in other industries, and for most women, at least, at my age. So, I mean, a lot of the obstacles that the really salient ones in tech right now are different environments that are not necessarily welcoming to women, and this is a result of a patriarchal system that we have set up. And it's also a result of, like Muskan was alluded to earlier, how, when, in the younger years of school, near elementary school, often implicitly you're receiving messages that, women go into these types of careers and men go into these types of careers. And then by time, you get to university, it's almost like you're sort of already entrenched on particular pathways, sort of already the brainwashing's been done on both sides. And so like I co-founded an initiative at McGill University called Win for Science, and it was just designed to help more women stay into STEM and academia. But the obstacles that they were facing are very, very similar in tech, in that, you have to work a lot of extra hours. You might have a two-body problem, having no leadership or no role models to look up to. Often you might be the only woman in the room, and that might play itself out in different ways. And so, we're often underpaid relative to your male counterparts. And so, there it's all of that. It's and then once you get into the investor world in tech, it is mostly older white male heterosexual type of folks there that are a little bit still biased in their ways. So there's a lot of things that women face. It's getting better now, because we do have programs now to sort of get them early and start encouraging more girls and women to enter into STEM fields. So the pipeline is very slowly filling, but still right now there is a real gap of women in tech, especially in leadership positions. And so these are the problems, the obstacles. So how does one face that? Through some of the techniques that have already been mentioned here. But there's definitely a level of understanding, what it is that these obstacles are, as I mentioned, and putting words to them, because a lot of the times women don't really realize it until in retrospect. Oh my gosh, 10 years ago when I was in my university lab, I didn't realize that the professor was actually treating me different, asking me to do all the teaching and admin work instead of doing the fun engineering projects. I never got the first author. And so there's lots of things that you might not realize is happening because you're sort of too close, you're in it. And then afterwards, like, oh shit, this was not a nice environment for me. But, lessons learned, and, there's women are disproportionately face imposter syndrome. Also, as alluded to before, not sure if I'm good enough, not sure if I fit here. So got to double up on my learning just to be competitive against my counterparts. And so those are things that are great ways to mitigate these by doing that extra work, doing the extra learning. It's on your shoulders and we're trying to change things, but how you're going to fix it now is by finding great mentors, doing your networking. Sometimes it's more about who you know than what you know. And so there's a lot, and realizing, putting words to these biases and these obstacles, so that you can understand when you're facing them, and then speak up and resist and keep pushing forward regardless. Like, don't listen to them. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll eventually get there.
Wow, that's awesome. Like, yeah, like I feel like you mentioned like a lot about the imbalance of women's career in tech. So, but like, why do you think so? Like, why is there is a gap in diversity in women in tech industry, and how we can also like close that gap to bring more women into tech industry and not in the tech industry, to like make a diversity of women inside this tech industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pipeline issue, right? So in the early days, women were sort of shuffled. Well, you be a nurse, or you be, in the humanities, and then guys were encouraged to go into those. And so by the time you get to university, there's nothing wrong with psychology and the humanities and political science and all of that. But there's not, the enrollment is still not, where it should be in mathematics, physics, engineering, computer science. And so encouraging more women early on is the best way to get them to consider those careers in the future. And then it's just seeing themselves there. So what does a woman scientist look like? What does a woman technician look like? What does a woman engineer look like? And we should be, putting those women up on stages and in front of these young women, so that they see that this is a possibility for them, and then they can imagine themselves there. But it's a slow going. This is not an overnight process. This is something that takes time and energy on everyone's part to go back. It really starts when they're young and get them excited about tech. My daughter's just turned 9, and she's finally reached that age where now I can put her in Girls Who Code. So 2 years ago we registered for her coding at her elementary school, and they ended up canceling the class because we were the only ones who were registered. I'm like, what the heck? So it's really about getting them in there young, so that you build the pipeline, and then eventually there will be enough diversity in tech.
Wow. Yeah, so I guess we just only have 10 minutes left, but I want to like talk about the very like I think like so I see like a lot about the networking and mentoring and guidance like from all of your discussions. So I also like curious to know, and also for the audience, like what is the important and like what is the necessity of this like the networking and like the mentorship or guidance like for our career growth, especially like when we are in a career or where we want to build our career. Like I want to like make this like open for all of you. Just I'd like to invite all of you just to share your idea about the mentorship and networking, how this can help us in our career growth.
I can speak to that, Procheta. So from my perspective, those are probably the two biggest things, and Bobbi's already alluded to that earlier. So again, and not it's sometimes it's not who you it's who you know, not what you know, and absolutely holds true. Because building your network, and again, coming to events like this, participating in panels like I know Kiley, you're saying you don't have experience, but you are gating that by taking part in this, and you're not only learning but you're sharing, and you're that generation and just before you, we need to know what they're interested in, what made you want to become and get involved in STEM and get involved in tech. So I look at if we can somehow take something from nursing, because somehow nursing has successfully made it where there's a lot of male nurses now, and I go into emergency room and I feel like it's 50-50 with them. And that was always very much a female dominated profession. And so what is it that they did right that got men interested in going into nursing? And so I think if we look at that from that tech perspective, again, starting them young, having tech events. I know we're hosting one coming up at the college for 7 to 9, and we're going to have them coding. They're going to be doing an electrical problem as well, like in building things. So getting them to have that hands-on piece that can help them start to think, oh, I could do this. Again, I this STEM speaker series that I host, it's exactly this. So and it's geared towards younger students. So I take these women that have the coolest jobs in tech and STEM. So we had a chemist. We had who works for the RCMP, who works in the bomb squad, and we had an Air Canada airline pilot. We've had chief of police, and I've had women that are running major hospitals and electrical engineers, and talking to them not so much about what's the coolest thing about your job, so that because that's what they're interested in, is like what am I going to do, what's your day-to-day like, because they don't have an idea what that job is. So I think bringing that forth, and then starting mentoring early, getting students involved so they have someone that they can look up to, someone they can go to for guidance, someone that can help them stay focused, help them develop their career, kind of show them that pathway, so that that we can bring them up behind. I found a favorite quote that I love is, a candle loses nothing by lighting another. So if we start lighting candles behind us, I find that there's that certain, for some people it becomes about ego, so it's all about raising themselves up. We have to raise up those behind us, because if we don't, we're not going to have that pipeline. We're not going to have any people to do the things that we're doing. So, and you can never be too young or never be too old to start doing that. So get involved in mentorship, seek out mentorship, find someone that impresses you, find someone that you look up to, and approach them, ask them if they would be your mentor, find a connection in your network, leverage your network against that, and see if you can find somebody. There's many resources for mentorship. The nice part is now we're used to working virtually. Go online and get one. Your mentor doesn't have to live down the street from you or be in the same city. So, and you can have somebody, whether it's in the company, they say, dress for the job you want. Find a mentor who has the job you want and see if they will help you out. Like, those are the keys. And don't be afraid to ask. Do things that make you uncomfortable so that you're not afraid to ask, because chances are they're going to say yes or they say no. If they say no, you're exactly where you were. If they say yes, you might have a pretty cool opportunity to take part in. So anyway, so many different things that you can do, and avenues that you can take to find a good mentor, and use that mentor to develop your network by leveraging theirs as well.
I'd love to jump in here on that. Leveraging your network is key, but building up that network first, how do you do that, right? So you do have to, you can't just, be on your laptop over here, and hopefully, this magically happens. You have to get out and you have to go meet people. The days of, working in one company for the rest of your life are long gone. The only way, it's very competitive. There's lots of, junior level positions in tech, but once you start, it gets very competitive. And another phrase that I like to say is, people like to do business with those they know and those they trust. And there's a lot of companies that are smart enough to realize that you don't want to put a post and get 1,000 applications. You want to go within your network. Who do I know? Who do I like? Who would I know who's already doing something cool? That's the best way to get the best jobs, is by knowing people. And what is that? I mean, obviously during COVID, that was a little bit challenging. Nonetheless, I met hundreds of people during COVID, because I'm live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's awesome. And you would be surprised, Sue was saying, how often people will say yes if you just ask. I cannot say enough how important networking is. Networking with your colleagues, with the other students in your class, with your professors, business people, through LinkedIn, go to events, find as much time to network as possible. And also a good strategy is offer something first, or just make friends. That's how I see it. Just go and make friends, meet. Don't ask them for anything right away. Wait. The best time is to build that relationship and then offer something. And then suddenly, I've got a bank of favors that are just, it's better than cash. And so you can just go cash in on those favors when you really rack them up. Little favor here, little favor there. Suddenly, everyone's like ready to help you when you really need something.
Have to give to get. That's the key. So, and it's not about getting it all. Just keep giving, and then eventually those things will come back to you. So, great point, Bob.
Okay, so I guess like we learned a lot about like networking and mentorship. I guess like the challenges like the Kylie was mentioning, like I guess like from that at least from like the Bobby and Susan's discussion, like we might learn something like how can we do that and how can we leverage into networking and mentoring to improve ourselves. So I think we just only have 5 minutes left. So I just wanna like ask like last one question, and by this time I'll see like if there's any questions from the audience. You can like ask us in the chat, then we'll be happy to answer. But the question like I'm gonna ask like all of you. That's an open question, just very simple. Like, so what advice would you give to other women like who wants to make their career in tech? What are the like that one advice that the or the one most important things that you want them to focus on to make their career in tech?
I'll go first. It's two things. If I can say two things, I'm going to cheat. Number one, get a PhD, stay in school, get a PhD. It's so awesome. Get a PhD. Secondly, choose for culture. So when you are starting to look around for different roles and positions, choose your company by culture, not by role and not by pay.
I can go second after this, Bobby. Yes, completely agree with her. We should choose our role, not by just the role and the money. We should choose what actually we are going to learn in that one. And this is my career advice to everyone. Just try to surround yourself with the people who motivate you and who can see the champion in you, because if they are motivating you to go to the right path, you will surely to be on the right path, and you will be a champion in IT industry for sure. So it's all about surrounding yourself with good people. Try to get a good mentor for yourself.
I'll go. So for me, I'm gonna say, because I have a daughter who is just almost 17, and for me, it's getting her to know her worth and know her value, and know that she doesn't need anything else to be able to succeed, and follow your passion. So if she's in, once you figure out what it is that you want to do, already set your goal and then some, and just go for it, and don't say no. Always, if you have an opportunity, it seems yes, it always leads to cooler opportunities, cooler experiences, and even when you're looking at education as well. So just basically keep having it, and trust your gut, and know that you have that value, and you have the ability to succeed.
I truly agree with what was said by everybody on the panel right now. I just want to echo a few things that was said now and earlier. The first one that I would give as a piece of advice is you have to love it. You have to love what you're going to do, or else it's not going to be worth it. The second one that I want to quickly say is you got to have a dream, and you got to, because if you don't have a dream striving for it, it's like, and it's not clear to you, you're not going to be able to be put up with the ups and downs that are going to come as a woman in tech in pursuing that dream. And the third thing that I would just put out to all the parents out there is, and you've heard it already on the panel, is start your children early in code. I was lucky enough to be encouraged by both my parents at the young age of 9 to start learning to code. And I think that's helped me to get to where I am today. So those would be my 3 pieces of advice.
Wow, that's awesome. Like, thank you all for sharing your like all those like the very informative and cool advice. So we are almost at the end of our session. Like, and I see like there's not so much questions from the audience, but yeah, if you want to like reach out to any of our speakers, you can reach out to them, like to the LinkedIn, and like after the sessions, like we'll try to like share the speakers info with you all, so we can also like get in touch with the speakers. So I see like, yeah, so thank you all. So this is the end of our sessions. Thank you everyone for joining our sessions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Procheta.
Thank you.